I'm going to be talking about the trailer for Uncharted, the movie starring Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg. And I'm going to get into this in a minute, but I wanted to take a second. I've told you this before in other videos. I'm new to YouTube and I'm new to like what the rules are and sort of the code of conduct when you're talking about other YouTubers. And I don't know if I'm breaking any rules by doing this, but I just wanted to give a shout out to Gary Beekler over at Nerdrotic. I gave him I sent a super chat in on the show that he hosts with a bunch of other YouTubers that are all great, that I subscribe to, all of them. And they do a Friday night show. And I did a super chat and he called out my channel and, gave me some props for my name. And I just wanted to say thank you. I got a little kick for subscribers. So if you're here, and you were on that Friday Night Tights live stream and you saw the name and you came over and gave me a like or gave me a subscription, I really appreciate it. Just wanted to say thank you. And again, don't know if I'm supposed to be doing this, but this is how I'm gonna do it. I just want to say that I really appreciate the support. I really appreciate that shout out, Gary, and I do appreciate the Friday Nights Tights crew. You guys are all awesome. I tune in every time that I can on Fridays. Sometimes it gets a little hectic and it's hard to, but you guys put on a great show, and I love all you guys, and you're the reason why I'm doing this. So I appreciate the support. So let's move forward to what today's video is actually about. So there's a movie called Uncharted, and it's based off a video game, and it's a PlayStation Studios video game called, not called, but it's a series that had 4 games, and then there was like a spin-off type DLC called Lost Legacy. But this movie is based on those 4 games. So I'm going to play this, and I've said this before about wanting to share my screen, but this trailer in particular has music from a famous artist, and I know that there's a lot of copyright issues, so I'm not trying to get struck down this early in my YouTube life. And so this one for sure I'm not going to share the screen because the audio will come through and then I'll get in trouble. And I think that's kind of on purpose. I think Hollywood, because there's a lot of trailers that lately have been doing that, and I think, because I've been picking up on that, I think that they're doing that with a lot of trailers. Like another one that I'm going to review, which is the Batman movie, the new one, and that has another song, and that's it's from Nirvana, and it's like you can't play that song, without strict permission or whatever, from the owners of that music. And this is a Led Zeppelin song playing in the back, a good one, playing behind this Uncharted movie trailer. So I'm obviously not going to play it because, like I said, you get in trouble. But I'm going to do what I've done before, and I'm just going to kind of scroll through, and I have some notes here that let's see here. Sorry about that. I was trying to press play and it wasn't playing for some reason. So I'm going to go through this, and it's a pretty short trailer, so I don't think this video will take too long. My opinion might take a little bit because I have some thoughts on this one. So to back up to the games for a second, I am a very big fan of the Uncharted series. The first one I thought was rough, but it was still, the story was great, and the characters in that game were really solid. I really love them. And Uncharted 2 was like the game that really lifted that franchise off the ground, and I was so happy that they did a sequel. And I didn't know at the time that it was going to be a trilogy, but I absolutely loved the second one. That one was called Among Thieves. And then the third one came out. That one didn't get a whole lot of love from, critics liked it, but I know there was a little bit of back and forth about whether or not that was as good as the second one. I thought it was very great. I loved it. And then Uncharted 4 came out, and there were things about that game that I really liked, and there were some things about it that I just did not like. There were some story beats in there and character beats in there that I felt was kind of silly, but maybe that's another video for another day. So let's get into this trailer real quick. This movie is starring, I think I said it earlier, but it stars Tom Holland as the main character. His name is Nathan Drake, and Mark Wahlberg as Sully, who is his mentor. Um, I so I am not a fan of Mark Wahlberg being cast as Sully. I think that is a terrible cast. Awful. I laughed when I saw he was. I didn't laugh when I saw he was in the movie. I was like, oh, what's he gonna play? And then when I saw who he was in the trailer, I laughed out loud, like audibly chuckled because it makes no sense. It really does. I think it's a horrible cast. So, but I do like Tom Holland. The only thing I don't like about Tom Holland right now is I only really know him from his role as Spider-Man, and I thought he did a good job as Spider-Man. Yeah, he's kind of more of like a he's a Spider young man, more like because he's in high school and it's not really like he's not a full-fledged adult and out fighting crime and stuff. He's still it's very much his character in the MCU is really based on like a beginning story, like like a an I forgot like a I forgot what you call it, but anyways, it's it's him becoming Spider-Man. The thing about him though is he's exactly the same in this movie. In this trailer, I'm not gonna say the movie, but in this trailer, he looks the same, sounds the same. It's just it looks like it's Spider-Man dressed up in street clothes or Nathan Drake's clothes, and then just playing this character. So I'm not trying to knock Tom Holland and say that he's not a good actor because I don't think that, but I don't know. When I first saw him cast in this role, I thought the costume photos that came out of him and Nathan Drake, like he's wearing the outfit from one of the games. I think it was from the Uncharted 3 game, and I thought he looked really good as the part. I was like, okay. And then they were talking about doing an origin story, so it all fit. Young Nathan Drake, I'm in. I have no problem with that. It's just his range as an actor right now. I'm just seeing it's just the same. His voice is exactly the same. So I don't know. So I'm not 100% on that. But I'm gonna go ahead and press play and just kind of walk through this one kind of quickly. I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time just going frame by frame on it. But it kicks off and it's Nathan Drake and he's doing some they're doing a little bit of digging and they kind of get into they're kind of showing him um you know he's like in a tomb or something like that, and then it cuts quickly to him as a bartender. And in the games now, and I'm going to say this, and I want to put this caveat in there. I'm not one of those people that says that the original content, like whether it's a book, a comic book, a video game, an adaptation into a movie, I'm not like a strict and must look and be exactly the same because you're literally just telling the same story. You're just transferring that story to film. So I'm not too hard on that, and I'm okay with some sort of casting changes, but there are some choices that when it comes to casting that I just don't like. And whatever that says about me, that's fine. That's, whatever that means to people who watch this. But I'm not a big fan of taking characters and casting them like when they change a female character to a male or a male to a female. I'm not a fan of that. I don't like it because it's not what I see as the character. So, and that doesn't go on here. What more of this is the Mark Wahlberg the casting. I just yeah, it's just weird. So, we see him in the bar and he's a bartender, and he wasn't a bartender in the game, so whatever, that's fine. But he meets Mark Wahlberg's character. Now it's Sully. And again, this was hysterical to me when I found out later in the trailer because I didn't know this at the time. But they have a couple of quips back and forth, and it's kind of funny. And that's kind of true to their dynamic in the games is Nathan and Sully are always cracking on each other, but it's all in jest. They're taking shots on each other. Nathan's cracking on Sully because of his age. Sully's cracking on Nathan because he's young and inexperienced, and it just works. The chemistry between those two characters in those games really worked. So, and this kind of played into it. So I was okay right here until again I didn't know that was Sully. Um, and then we get into a scene where you have Nathan and he's talking to Sully, and they're kind of setting the stage for the adventure because that's what these games are. They're just this sort of they're sort of a modern Indiana Jones type movie, or I'm sorry, game, and they're they're kind of like they won't I won't call them grave robbers, but they're kind of like Indiana Jones, where they're seeking treasure, and there's always some villain that's chasing down the treasure that they want, and they always end up getting into these, this war basically with, the bad guy or bad girl. So it's kind of it's everything's looking okay right here. Um, the thing that really gets me is, again, the they start referencing things, and one of the things they referenced was I'm sorry, Nathan's brother Sam, and that Sam's character didn't come into the video games until the fourth game, and it wasn't even talked about that I can remember. And again, these games started a long time ago. I think the first one came out in like 2008 or something like that, maybe even before that. But so Nathan's brother wasn't really referenced, and they throw it in right away. So with this being a prequel, this sort of I started questioning: is this a prequel, or are they just going to start pulling everything out of the video game and just throwing it on the screen and just sort of seeing what works? And unfortunately, I don't think a lot of it does. Um, so they talk a little bit, and they're kind of um, setting up the sort of world trotting adventure that you're going to go on. We see Nathan on a boat. He's heading out, and he's hunting for treasure, and he sees a sunken ship that's in a cave, and then it just sort of starts splashing around. Like the it's all about the landscapes. Like, there's a lot of cool like landscapes, and then the trailer just sort of picks up, and it doesn't really tell you a whole lot in terms of what they're going after, but we do see they introduce. I'm pretty sure this is going to be the villain. It's Antonio Banderas, and I like Antonio Banderas. He is one of those actors that I grew up watching, in the '90s, and so I liked seeing him because I haven't seen him in a movie in a long time. But he's been in a lot of movies that I saw when I was younger, like teenage years, high school, 20s, when I was in my 20s watching, and I've always been a fan of his. So seeing him, it was cool. It was cool. He's got the cool accent. He's got the suave look. He's pretty badass. So him as a villain, I totally buy, and I was happy to see him. We also get introduced. We see a quick introduction of a character from the game. Her name's Chloe, and I wanted to take a second to talk about her because her name is. I just want to give her, her props too, since I know there's all these other characters. Her name's Sophia Ali, and I don't know her. I haven't seen her anything except one thing, and it said I checked the credits, and she was in a show called Tyrant that was on FX, and it came out. It came out a minute ago. It was probably um, 2014, 15, around that time. And it was a show that I really enjoyed. It was one of those shows that I just took a chance when I watched it. I was like, let's see what's going on here. And it actually really grabbed me. And I really enjoyed season one of Tyrant. Season two, I think there was 3 seasons in total, and then it got cut and got canceled. But season one I thought was really good. Season two was good too. You can tell it was just kind of losing its way though. It was almost like that show through season one was like they maybe could have just left it at season one, um, and or just done a season two and capped it off. But yeah, but anyways, but I don't remember her from that show. I don't remember seeing her. I don't recognize the name, and it's been a long time since I've seen that show. But so that's a good thing. She was in a show that I liked. That's the only thing that I saw from her history, from her film history that I recognized. So we're gonna move a little bit more, and it just this is one of those trailers that and that's why I say it's not one of those trailers I can sit here and break down. It's just a lot of action and a lot of cool landscapes, and the humor I didn't find that humorous. Like, I didn't think it was okay, Um, but obviously, what we're looking at is Nathan is going to be in a race against this other group, this villain, Antonio Banderas. I believe he's the villain, and it's just going to be sort of a pretty basic story. And the video games are similar, and what makes the video games so great is that it's the characters, Nathan Drake's character, what you learn about him when you play those games, and his relationship with Elena, who's another character, which I didn't see her in this. I don't think I did see her anywhere in this trailer. But Chloe is another great character, and Sully. So these are all like they're really good characters, and I I'm curious to see what they're going to do with this, because I think I'm going to go ahead and just, I mean, there's really nothing else to talk about with this trailer. There's a couple of action scenes that I thought were silly, actually. But the thing that I have a problem with video game movies is those games were already stories. They already had a beginning, a middle, and an end. And these stories were so good and these games were so good was because they stuck to they stuck to the basics with a 3-act structure. And I don't know what it is, but whenever I see a movie that's based on a video game, I it's always for me, it's like as a gamer, I'm like, oh god, they're gonna mess it up, because they just want to take the look and they want to take the IP and they want to cast some, they want to get some actors that will sign on, and then it's usually just a phoned in sort of performance. There are some exceptions. Resident Evil is probably the one that comes to my mind right away, where you had Mila Jovovich and her playing the character in the Resident Evil movies. They just sort of, I feel like that was kind of like lightning in a bottle, where it was based on zombies, and zombies, you can go on for movies and movies and movies about zombies. So you can just keep that story going. And I think that's probably why that was so successful. But like the Assassin's Creed movie was, I thought it was terrible. I tried watching some of it and I just couldn't. It seemed really silly, because they took the movie and they just had really had, it didn't reflect what was going on in the game, in the Assassin's Creed game. So I just didn't like that. And I'm seeing that in this trailer. I'm watching this trailer and I'm seeing the same old, it's just like they're just trying to take an IP and make a bunch of money off of it. It doesn't feel like this is an ode, to fanship or fans of the game, and like a tribute of like, we're going to make this really good. And it, I don't know. I'm just not feeling it. And I really can't stand the Mark Wahlberg cast. I really can't. And I wanted to talk about something real quick, because this was just finishing up. There's a scene where you can see Nathan Drake is falling out of the back of an airplane, and there's all these like these cargo container, like very large box shaped containers, and they're all held in, and they're sort of intertwined and not together with this cargo net, this big thick cargo net. That was actually that was ripped straight from the game. You play that section of a game of Uncharted 3 in the game, and it was like, okay, I can see that you're trying to pull something from the game, splash it on the screen, just to get people like me who will play the game hype, and it didn't work. Yeah, I saw it and I just was like, oh, okay. And not only that, video games, you can get away with sort of like the laws of physics, because it's a video game, and you're going to do stuff in a video game. Like in a video game, you can die and start over. Obviously it doesn't happen in real life, and it can't happen in movies unless the lore says so, but it's different. And so when I see things happen in video games, when it comes to like physics and how things act, or like things react and act in the real world, it doesn't bother me as much. But when I see it in movies, man, it annoys me. And in that particular scene, that airplane scene, when you see, first of all, you see Nathan Drake, he's falling, and he's unconscious and he's falling, and he opens his eyes. And it's so funny, because if you've ever watched someone falling, like skydiving, it's extremely windy. It's like they're doing like, I can't remember what terminal velocity is, but it's like 120 or 180 miles an hour, whatever that is. But it's windy, and they have to wear goggles, and it's like their face is flapping in the wind, and it's like, it's because you're flying through the air, like falling through the air at such a high speed. And I thought it was goofy that we see Tom Holland, his hair's looking all clean, his shirt's nice and just chilling, his necklace is floating a little bit. And it was like, what is he falling or is he not? And I thought it was, I laughed when I saw that. I legit laughed out loud. I'm like, his hair would be a mess. His skin would be flapping and it'd be super loud. But, he's like being, cause he's a handsome cat, and so he's just like, it's like, oh, him just sort of waking up. And it's like, I just thought it was silly. And then, we see him climbing up the cargo, containers, trying to get back to the plane, just like in the video game. And we see him jump. Okay, the plane is probably traveling what, 350 miles an hour, and he's hanging off the back, and then he just jumps forward, and it's like the plane isn't moving, and it was so silly because you can't do that. It just totally looked silly. That whole scene just defied physics to me, and again, I laughed. I thought it was silly. So but it is a movie, and I'm not trying to harp on that. I'm not trying to sit here and say that, oh, it must adhere to all the things that, that are proven in nature. It's not one of those deals. I just thought it was silly. I thought it was funny, and it doesn't, it didn't really land with me. This trailer just did not land with me in a lot of ways. So, and the other thing too was just, it was like, it was, it just felt like it's kind of a teaser, because it's like the first official trailer. So I get that we're not going to get a lot of story, and that's okay. But it didn't do anything to get me excited. It did nothing for me. I think Tom Holland has, like I said before, I think he has the look, but I don't think he has the voice. His voice is it's just Spider young man. That's all he is. And and Nathan Drake's voice in the game, to be clear, he's got a very distinct voice. It's not, I wouldn't say gruff, but he's got a cool voice. And what's his name? I think his name's Nolan North is the guy who voiced him, and he just has a cool voice anyways. So yeah, that really, once I saw him talk, heard him talking, it kind of took me out of it. And again, I'm gonna say it again. Sully in the video game is a white haired older man. Like he's grayed out. His hair is completely gray. He doesn't have his color anymore. That's how old he is, and that's how he is in the entire series, except for a flashback. And I think Uncharted 4 maybe. But anyways, doesn't matter. His character in the game he's an older guy, and you have Mark Wahlberg, and look, I think it's cool that Mark, he goes and goes into the gym and gears up for his roles, and that's fine. I'm cool with that. Stay fit, take care of your body. That's cool. But Sully isn't some like pretty boy, he's not. And that's what Mark is. That's what Mark is, Marky Mark. That's how he started. His whole image was, his physique and his look. He's got the little baby face and everything, and good for him. Good for you. I'm not trying to take that away from him. I like movies that he's played in other movies that I've loved. So I'm not hating on the guy, but I just think this is a total miscast. It makes no sense that he would be Sully in this world in terms of like the Uncharted lore. So, the other thing was, let's see. Oh, that's right. The prequel. Is it a prequel or not? I'm not sure, because I thought that's what I heard when they were talking, because this was in talks to be made years ago, and I remember first hearing about it and hearing that Tom Holland was being cast. And at the time, I knew him. I was like, oh, Tom Holland, he plays Spider-Man. Okay, we'll see. I don't know what are they doing. And then I heard it was a prequel, and I was like, that makes sense. Young guy, it's a prequel. I'm fine with it. But they were pulling things out of the games, that, like, from the reference of his brother, Sully being young, being a young, Mark Wahlberg looking guy. And it's like, so how far back are we going? Chloe in the movie she's a grown woman, like, and she's, and like and I wouldn't even say, I don't know, say middle age. I would say she's like she's a younger woman. Like in the game, she looks like she's in like her late 20s maybe. I mean, it's a video game, so it's hard to tell, but she looks the same. In the casting for her in the movie looked good. When I saw her, I immediately was like, oh, is that Chloe? And so it fit. I was really in with that. But yeah, I'm not feeling this one. I don't think I'm going to see this one in the theaters. I don't think it's going to be worth my time. And you know, I was checking out the ratio too. It's got 100. This Uncharted trailer for on YouTube has 176,000 likes and only 9,600 dislikes. So you know, maybe it's capturing that normie crowd. And again, I am just a normie, but it's not capturing this one. It's not capturing this normie at all. I thought it was kind of silly actually. But we'll wait until the next. There's probably going to be another 2 trailers going to come out, and maybe it won't be. You know, maybe we'll get a little more context into the story and where are we in the Uncharted world. So I don't know, but I don't know, I was bummed when I saw the name, when I saw the trailer, the name for the trailer, Uncharted, and I was like, oh, finally get to see it. I was excited, wanted to see it, wanted to like it, and then it really landed with a thud for me. But that's my take. I appreciate you taking the time, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, I appreciate you giving me a like, share it with your friends if you think they'll like it too. If you wouldn't mind subscribing, that would be a help. I am trying to grow the channel, and anything, every little bit helps. And again, just want to say thank you to all the new subscribers that have come through. I really appreciate it, and I hope that I can provide you with good content to keep you coming back. Other than that, you guys have a great day. Bye.